if you guys want to submit your image to be critiqued, please join our Facebook group. It's called Fine Art Photography and Modeling. In that group, I created a specific thread where you could submit your images to be critiqued.
Hi everyone. Ernesto had to go out of town this week, so I'm hijacking his Monday critique. My name's Ben Scott. I'm a fashion and editorial photographer outside of the DC, Washington DC area. We're located today in itsthebell.com studios. And if you want to see any more of my work, you can see me on Instagram at Ben William Scott. Thanks again, Ernesto, for giving me this opportunity to take over and hijack your critique this week. The first image we're going to get started is from this guy right here, and it's of a model sitting on a railing. Let's go over a little bit of, let's just kind of look at this image right here and kind of give us just like a quick once over and see what we notice right away when looking at the image. Sometimes I like to make the image really small and just kind of see what stands out when looking at the image. So let's do that first. Let's just see, what do we see here? Look, we have a really nice model here. So good choice there. We can start with expression. If we zoom in, she's really nailing that eye contact, and the expression there is really nice. So great job there. The next thing we want to look at kind of is the pose. So I think this is where the image is struggling the most. Not necessarily, it's kind of a combination between her pose and the angle towards the camera, and also her hand placement. So the hand on her head looks a little bit chopped off, and this is not something you want to have happen with your image. So what I like to do is have the model do what's called flow posing. So you kind of tell them how you want them to end up, and you want to have them move into these positions. So don't just have the model place their hand in one spot, and don't just have her place her hand on her head and leave it there. Have her kind of slowly move it through the hair, and make sure that you can see fingers and see kind of the side of the hand, similar to what Ernesto was saying in last week's critique about see the side of a woman's hand, don't see the back of the hand or the palm, but have her kind of rub her hand through her hair and make sure that you can capture a little bit of the hand and not have it hidden and cut off behind her head. The other thing is, what's good about your posing is you are creating triangles, which there's triangles in the arm bends and the knee bends, so that's always a good thing. The other arm on the railing is a little straight, but obviously you need her to be safe and secure on that railing. Next thing I'm going to talk about is lighting. That's one of the things here on this image. I think you're shooting at 2.8 and you're shooting at ISO 50. One of the things that you might want to think about is shooting at ISO 100 and moving that light back just a little bit. I think it's a little bit hot where it's hitting her arm, and the fall off is happening fast onto the legs. So the legs are getting a little bit hidden in shadow and the arm's a little bit hot. So if you would have had the light just a little bit further back, you could have had a more even distribution of the light. The next thing I want to talk about is kind of has to do with the styling too. Pay attention to hairbands. If those are hairbands on her wrist, models always have those on the wrist. They'll show up and they're just always there. So really pay attention to what the model is wearing and have them take those off early on so that they don't show up on the skin and make that harder for you to edit out later. The next image we're going to talk about is Victor's image. This is Victor right here. just give you a little bit of background about this image from what he sent us is it's a double exposure image, meaning that the image was taken twice in camera. First, it was taken of the model was a nude model in the background, the full body shot, and then the next shot she has on a pink dress in the foreground. Again, another lovely image. Thanks, Victor, for submitting this. The first thing I want to kind of talk about is it kind of has to go. We'll cover this under lighting, is because he used gels to really make this effect happen, and it's using cool colors for the background and warm colors for the foreground. This is a great technique. This really creates three-dimensional depth to the image by you perceive cool as far away and you can perceive warm colors as close up. So great to use the pink gels and the blue gels to really enhance this effect. So when it comes to lighting, great job. The next thing I want to talk about is I'm gonna say post-production, but it's really kind of your technique of double exposure. I'm not sure if that's successful or not. I have a hard time making out the background image of your model. I can see her legs and a little bit of the head, and I think that's the biggest issue I have with this image is, did you fully take advantage of the double exposure? This also, it almost seems like a technique that could have been done in post, where you just took the background image and then just lowered the opacity on the foreground image in the pink dress. And to me, that makes it seem like you didn't take full advantage of the double exposure. It's a difficult technique, and I just think you could have maybe pushed it a little bit further there. Another thing I want to talk about is the expression. Again, this too, the model's expression, the expression we can see is in the pink dress in the foreground. I'm not sure if this really goes under kind of, it could be two things, styling or expression, depending on which way you personally envision the image. So that's the thing that I'm having a hard time reading. I say it could be a styling, because it could just be her shoes aren't matching her expression in the foreground to me. I think she either could have had more of a sexy vibe in the foreground, or the shoes could be changed in the image in the background to maybe like just a classic black heel or something along those lines. Just to me, there seems a little bit of disconnect, and I think you're trying to join two images that were similar, and to me, they're contrasting. If that's what you're going for, you're successful in it. It just made me stop and think about it and question, was it really on purpose or not? Or was this just a styling choice that didn't have as much thought into it to make a complete image? For this first image, let's go again, go over this image, and we're gonna rate this image right now. And we covered three things. Lighting, I'll give this a 2. It's a little hot on the arm and goes to shadow and looks kind of muddy on the legs, so really watch that. You could possibly move that light back just a little bit to get a more even distribution. Then we'll look at pose. Also, I'm gonna give this a 2, that the cutoff arm is really kind of a distraction. As soon as you look at the image, you can really see that. And then when it comes to expression, I'm gonna give this a 4. She's really connecting with you. You're doing a great job of really communicating with your model to get that expression out of her. I just would have liked to see the same thing with the pose. So you definitely can do it. Just be cognizant of where that hand is. So overall, that's a rating of 2.66. Great job on that image. Thank you again for submitting it. We're going to rate this image here by Victor. So we're talking about 3 things here too. For lighting, I'm going to give this a 4 for lighting. I think you did a great job of using those gels to use the color to your advantage. Then we're going to look at post-production. I'm going to give it a 3. I think the double exposure might have been not as successful as you would have liked it to be. And then on expression, again, I think it's a little, I'm going to give it a 3. I think it's a little confusing as to the mood. There could have been a little bit more expression out of your model. So again, that's an overall rating of 3.33. Thank you to the 2 submitters of these images this week. Really appreciate the opportunity for me to be able to critique your images and kind of share some of my knowledge. Thanks again to Ernesto for inviting me to do this. It's been a lot of fun. It's definitely a lot harder on this side of the camera than it is behind the camera. So hope everyone learned something and continue to keep watching these great videos. And thanks again, Ernesto.
That is it. Thank you very much for watching this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, hit that thumbs up button. Share this video with your friends and family. And please put some feedback down below and let me know what you think about this video. And guys, if you got this far in the video, you must be enjoying this content and you must be enjoying this channel. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next Monday.